Some days you have to put it all on hold for your kids. We need to take the time to slow down. I just get so emotional thinking about. Hey friends, and welcome to today's video. I tried to make this video earlier, but my son woke up from his nap, and then the rest of our afternoon looked like this.
But she did so good. It was so fun to watch. I wish I could have done it with Manila when he saw the video.
But I titled today's video "The Truth About Being a Stay-at-Home Mom," not because there is some secretive truth that necessarily needs to be unveiled, but because there are 4 different topics that I really wanted to talk about that maybe some people do or do not understand or want more clarity on, or maybe you're a mom, or maybe you are wanting to be a stay-at-home mom and are just wondering, what does this look like? How does this, affect my family? How do I go about doing this? That sort of helps. And just kind of help you out. Now, there's a few disclaimers that I want to put into this video before I just even touch on these things. First of all, I've only been a stay-at-home mom for about 2.5 months now. Second of all, I only have 1 child. I don't have multiple kids yet. I want to, but I don't yet. And so this is just coming from my own experiences. These things may change based on where you live, based on what your husband does for a living. And this may also change based on how many kids you have, what your community is like around you, and how supportive your family is around you too. And I wanted to add those disclaimers in there because I think those are really important to kind of just say at the very forefront that my experience as a stay-at-home mom is going to look a lot different than other stay-at-home moms. And yeah, so that is pretty much everything. I know that was a super long intro, but I wanted to make sure that I added all this in there. So let's actually get into the first part. Okay, so the first part I want to touch on is the mental load. This is something we hear a lot. I've seen so many videos on Instagram about the mental load that a woman has. And essentially what the mental load is the tasks that go unseen, the things that a woman has to think about that necessarily a man doesn't have to think about. And I wanted to touch on 2 different things: the mental load of a mom who chooses to work outside of the home, and a mom who chooses to stay home and not work. When I was working, if those of you don't know, I worked in kids ministry, and I love doing ministry. I grew up as a pastor's kid. I grew up in a family that did ministry all together, and I loved doing ministry. But something that I realized was my personal values and my beliefs on how I wanted a family to be raised and a family to grow did not fit I'm trying to word this correctly. Did not fit my vocation. Each vocation, each job that you work has different needs, different necessities, different hours, all of those things. And I just found that the way that I wanted to raise my family did not coincide with the schedule and the lifestyle that ministry is. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still doing ministry. Like, I still serve in kids ministry, and I want my kids to be involved in church when they want to. And my husband is still a youth pastor and just still working at the church and everything. But I knew that on a daily basis and a weekly and monthly basis, I wanted things a little bit differently for our family. And I just realized that those things didn't match up. And, I really struggled when I was working to kind of balance my values and my beliefs with how things were done. And that was just an anxiety and a stress and a tension, I should say, it's more of a tension that I really carried in the workplace. And I wasn't able to free myself from that. I wasn't able to move away from that per se. And so it came with an extra mental load of, I'm trying to do my work, I'm trying to get my work done, I'm trying to be successful and productive because I want to be successful and productive in the things that I do. But at the same time, I also wanted to be successful and productive at home and with my kids and with my marriage. And I remember, when Gentry and I were trying to make the decision of when should I be a stay-at-home mom, essentially, I just expressed to him, like, I can't be 100% a good mom when I'm working. I can't be 100% a good mom or a good wife when I'm working, because there is an extra added outside stressor coming in, and just it felt like in some ways invading my mind. And I want to be clear too that some women are great at it. Some women know how to balance everything, and they don't fall under those pressures. But I'm here to say I am not that woman. And I think it is important to recognize when it's time to take a step back as a mom and as a wife, in terms of how much you're doing and what you're trying to balance, because you can't do it all. And it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, this area of life is too much for me right now. And that's essentially what I was saying. And adding to that, just saying, like, I want to prioritize and value my marriage, my home life, and my family more than what I'm doing in this other area of life. And that is perfectly okay, because your family and your marriage should come first before your vocation or your job should ever. And so that was essentially the mental load that I was really struggling with. And maybe you're the same way. Maybe you are struggling with that balance, and you are questioning, should I be a stay-at-home mom? And I'll just say this right now, you won't regret it if you do. And so that's just kind of where I am at in terms of the mental load. Now, being a wife and a mom without the requirements of work outside of that is just incredible, because I will explain later, you have so much freedom and you have so much flexibility. Not only that, but you are able to pour yourself into your marriage. You're able to pour yourself into your family as much as possible. And I saw that as the greatest value, the greatest thing. And yeah, so I wanted to continue that. Okay, the second one, oh my goodness. So what do I actually do all day as a stay-at-home mom? Okay, so I said in a later video that my temptation as a stay-at-home mom is to prove myself to everyone else that I'm so productive, that I'm so busy, that I am doing X, Y, and Z. But I'm here to tell you that, at least in my experience, in my opinion, with one child, with where my child is at age-wise and developmentally, like, you can take it slow. Most days, what I do is I have a really slow morning. I, read my Bible, pray, read a chapter in a book, drink some coffee. I work out with my son. I get ready for the day. And honestly, I just hang out with my son. Maybe I have some things I need to do around the house. Yes, but I just hang out with my son. And then when he goes down for a nap, I'm either doing stuff around the house that I wasn't able to do when he was awake, or I am just taking time to relax and rest and slow down. And this is pointing back to the mental load, but I didn't feel like I was ever able to do any of those things when I was working and trying to be a mom. It was very hard for me to keep up with everything. And I'm not someone who can go fast paced. I'm not a fast paced person. I am someone who I need time. I need the space and the time to work on things, to rest. I don't know if this makes any sense. But essentially, like, that's what I'm able to do. And, you know, every day is so different, and there's so much flexibility in being a stay-at-home mom. And I know that with every stage of being a mom, it's different too. With where my son is at, you know, he doesn't really have many things he does actively, meaning like we can't just go to the park and I like push him on a swing yet. He's still pretty young for that. But there's a lot of flexibility in the sense that like we can go places together, and I can take him grocery shopping, or I can take him, you know, in the city, I say. And so those are different things, and every day is so different too. And that's something I love about being a stay-at-home mom, is you can either make every day so mundane and so the same, or you can make every day so different and so fun. And I think that's one of the best things is it's repetitive, yes. There are a lot of mundane, repetitive tasks, of course. But you as a stay-at-home mom have the power to change your day, have the power to change what you are doing in your day. Number 3, freedom in being a stay-at-home mom. Okay, I love this one most because, and before I talk, I want to say that this differs based on where you live and how many kids you have. Because I know that the more kids you have, the longer it takes you to get out of the house, the less free time you may actually have, and all of those things. But what I'm essentially getting at here when I say there's freedom in being a stay-at-home mom is that, first of all, you do get to decide how your day looks, how your day goes, where you want to go with your baby, where do you want to stay home and, you know, do crafts with them. Do you want to go out and go to the library, or take him to the city and go for a walk, or go to this nice park or whatever. Like, yes, I'm talking about that freedom, but I'm also talking about you have the freedom and the space and the slowness to essentially work on yourself and work on your marriage. I found this really hard, that when I was go, always had something going on, always planning for the next thing, always blah, 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 I found it difficult to be more like Christ, because I was constantly doing things, constantly planning for things, constantly X, Y, and Z, and it was hard to be more like Christ. And I'm trying to think if there's more I want to add to that, but I've read a lot of books about Jesus and hurriedness and busyness, and I've read Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer and Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, and I've read Take Back Your Family by Jefferson Bethke, and something that they all point to is that even though Jesus was going from place to place and he was teaching people and he was, you know, doing his daily life and whatnot, he was still slowing down and taking the time to be with other people, taking the time to be with his heavenly Father. And if we don't slow down, we won't be able to take the time to be with our Heavenly Father. We won't be able to take the time to allow ourselves to be interrupted. Something that kind of meshes into this about freedom and being a stay-at-home mom is some days Gentry David's a lot more fussy than other days. Sometimes you don't know why, sometimes it's teething, sometimes it's just he's not feeling too well. Maybe it's a growth spurt, I don't know. But when I'm like so focused on my to-do list of what I need to get done in my daily life, and he's being super, super fussy, something that being a stay-at-home mom has allowed me to do, and I think you can do this even if you're not a stay-at-home mom, but is when he's being fussy, like that's a reminder to me, hey, look, what you're doing is not important. Stop, slow down, be with your son, hang out with him, because that's what he needs right now. Like, you can always come back to X, Y, and Z later. But I think our busyness culture just eats at us and makes us think like, no, this task or this thing cannot wait. We need to take the time to slow down, realize our kids' needs, realize our needs, because in that moment when you're choosing to slow down on your chores and go hang out with your kid, you know, not only is it helping your kid, but it's teaching you a lesson essentially. And that's what like I have been like walking through. And so there's that freedom, again, like I said, to slow down. Okay, so this is the very last section, and it's difficult days and how I deal with them as a stay-at-home mom. So with every baby, with everything, there is going to be difficult seasons. I remember the first month to 2 months after having Gentry David was really difficult because Gentry was gone a lot. Like I remember when Gentry David was only a week old, my husband had a trip that he went on for a week. It was technically for work, and that was so hard. I cried every single day. I prayed for bedtime. Like it was very difficult. And bedtime was the only time that Gentry David would like sleep for a long time, and it was just very hard. And then, you know, between 2 to 3.5 months, like things were beautiful, everything was great, shiny, all the things. And then once 3.5, 4 months hit to about 5 months, it was downhill. Like our sleep schedule was whack. He did not sleep good at all for naps, and he was waking up 4 or 5 plus times a night. And on top of that, he had RSV, he had 3 ear infections, and all of these things. And it just felt like one thing after another. We felt like we were drowning. We felt like we were never going to get out of this stage of life that we were in, where he was constantly sick, always something wrong. And like, so all that to say, you're going to have difficult days, especially as a stay-at-home mom. There are days when, you know, he may be super fussy and you're like, I just need like an hour to 2 hours on my own. Like, please, can I go back to that? So something I love that I don't even think Gentry and I have like talked about, it's just something that we've done, is when Gentry comes home, Gentry and Gentry David, my husband and my son have the same name, so I know this is really confusing. I call my son Gentry David and my husband just Gentry. But something that Gentry and Gentry David do is they just hang out together. They take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is, they hang out together once Gentry gets home, so I can just have some time to myself, or whether there's a chore to get done, I'll go do that. Because, you know, even as a stay-at-home mom, like the days are long sometimes. You are begging like, honey, can you please come home early today, because I just need a break, or whatever it is. So have systems like that. Another thing too is, you know, make sure that you're taking time for your spouse on those days. Make sure that you are taking time for yourself. So this is also something that I do, depends on the day, but most of the time I keep to it. But during Gentry David's naps, no matter how long, no matter how short, I just rest. That's all I do. Another thing of how I deal with difficult days is I get out of the house. Okay? I know it's intimidating. I know that it's intimidating. I remember when Gentry David, I think up until maybe like 2-3 months ago, he did not like riding in the car. And I never wanted to go anywhere because I knew that I was going to hear him crying in the back seat. And so I never wanted to go anywhere. I hated driving places. But as hard as it is probably the best invention ever. I will literally, if I'm having a hard day or a long day and, you know, Gentry David's being extra fussy, I don't know what it is, but going out and about always, always, always helps him. Always. Oh my gosh, I love it. So his stroller is always in our car, as you can see, and we'll literally just go to Kroger and we'll walk around Kroger for an hour, or we'll go to Walmart, or we'll go all the way across town and go to like TJ Maxx or something. I don't know. But we will go somewhere because that almost always helps him and it helps me. I remember in the newborn days, we went on walks every single day, almost twice a day, because sometimes the days felt so long and I felt like the only time that I would get some peace and quiet was on a walk. And I wouldn't even like listen to anything. I would just, you know, newborn Gentry David would just sleep and I would just go for a walk and not listen to anything. Just listen to the cars, listen to the air, listen to the wind, whatever it was. And that was just the best. It was seriously was so good. Preparing yourself, preparing your heart and your mind in the morning when you're just sitting with Jesus in prayer or reading your Bible, taking a few moments to just pray over your day, helping you to have a good attitude. And, you know, on those days when your child is really struggling, sometimes the best thing that you can do is just stop all your plans for the day and just be with them. Just be in their presence, hang out with them, play blocks with them. Like, I know that you might have had like this whole chore list of what you wanted to get done, but some days you have to put it all on hold for your kids. I was just thinking earlier about how great it is to be a stay-at-home mom because you get to see your child's development from day to day and from week to week. And like, my son is almost 9 months old, and like, I just get so emotional thinking about how big he's getting and how I get to watch his development every single day, and I get to watch him grow up. And you know, I'm not watching him grow up through like picture text on a screen of like, oh, look at what your son's doing now. Like, I get to watch it like in front of me. And I just know that this time right now, I'm not gonna regret it. That is everything, and I'm very, very excited about being a stay-at-home mom. And I think, honestly, if you ask me like, hey, should I be a stay-at-home mom? Like, is that something I should do? I'm gonna say like, it's not for everyone, but if you are a stay-at-home mom, you never regret it, and you won't regret it. We as a family have made our sacrifices for me to be able to do this, and I'm so grateful. Even though it means we give up a lot of our personal freedoms, material freedoms, in the long run, like the memories and the traditions and the all those things are so worth it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This was a very passionate, close to my heart video that I wanted to make. And You know, if you guys have any like more in-depth questions or personal questions or whatever it is, please go follow my Instagram, and you can absolutely DM me or whatever, and I will just answer the questions as best as I can. But that is essentially the video. I hope that it was just encouraging. But I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.